In this video, I have some tech that helps you record your PS3 into your PC using OBS. Stay tuned, my recommended solution may surprise you. A couple of weeks ago I got myself a PS3 that was the right type to run custom firmware. I was partly hoping it would let me run it through my Elgato HD60X capture card so I could play and record or perhaps stream the gameplay. Anyways, now that I think about it, it's been pretty much 10 years to the day since I first ever tried capturing a PS3's HDMI output to capture gameplay with mates on GTA 5.
Oh, you know, mate, I left at my grandma's, eh?
Alright, mate, you know driving without a license is a felony?
Yeah, but no, I only had like 4 accidents in the past week, so I guess I'm alright.
I ended up opting to get it on Xbox and getting a Dazzle capture card that used the AV cables. Terrible quality, but it was very novel to me and very interesting. Turns out the HDCP protection issue still lives on to this day, and you'll still need a HDMI splitter that strips it before going into the Elgato. Well, maybe there's a solution out there, but I haven't done loads of new research into this. But what I do have is some neat info about some tech I grabbed coincidentally from AliExpress and a HDMI splitter device that works to strip the HDCP protection signal. When I was trying to once again set up OBS with my PS3, I rediscovered the HDCP problem. Well, I kinda knew already I was going to have to battle it, but I didn't quite expect having to get a splitter for it to work with my Elgato. Then I had the idea that perhaps a HDMI USB capture device that I got would probably strip the HDCP protection. It's a very simple device compared to the Elgato and really has no obligation to follow standards that protects content. When I plugged the device in, to my surprise, it worked. Although it was USB 2.0 only, and it required the buffer setting in OBS to be turned on due to flickering and stuttering, which significantly increased the visual latency when using the controller to move the camera in-game. And thus, that wasn't going to be a solution, but it worked, kinda. I ordered that splitter, and I also decided to grab a USB 3.0 variant of the same HDMI to USB device. Both ended up costing about the same, before shipping and tax. The splitter didn't come with an Australian power supply, but thankfully it just used 5 volts over a micro USB cable. But it had to be at least 2 amps of current. So you can't just power it from the front port of the PlayStation, neither a USB port on a PC, which kinda sucks. I had to use a third HDMI cable for the splitter setup as well, as it needed one between the PlayStation, the splitter, and one between the splitter and the Elgato. And voila! It worked! Some settings did need adjusting on the Elgato, as I had mine set to 1440p and still had a black screen due to the PS3's max output of 1080p over HDMI. The splitter did add latency to the loop as well, so even the pass-through of the Elgato had a little bit of input lag when playing, but only to the level you would normally see when you play the console through OBS and using your PC as the monitor. However, the latency did stack up a bit more in OBS, so if you were just going to play through OBS on your PC, you might find that a bit tough, if you're very sensitive and play competitively. Finally, the USB 3.0 version of that HDMI to USB device arrived. Just as before, it was simple-ish to set up. I plugged in the HDMI to the back of it, and the device into a USB 3.0 port. What I didn't realize was that I never saw the audio device for the old one, nor did I initially see it on the new one. What I had to do was set up the audio on the PlayStation to be PCM stereo and uncheck any others in the PS3 setting for audio output. Then I had to remove the capture device, restart the PlayStation, and plug the device back into the PC before I saw the digital output device for the HDMI capture card in Windows and OBS. So I added both the video capture card and the audio device into OBS, and it worked just as well as the Elgato did, with less kerfuffle. And it continued to work with less kerfuffle than the Elgato does. Anyway, from this, and for my own personal setup, this was way better than setting it up with the Elgato and a splitter. It means that I don't need another power supply for the splitter, and I don't need another HDMI cable, and best of all, my Elgato is free to be used with my Raspberry Pi Zeros or single board computers that I provision from time to time, so I don't have to plug it into the second slot in the monitor itself or into another monitor. I can just capture it in OBS. Both of these devices, the splitter method and the standalone HDMI to USB 3, are capable of capturing HD audio and 60 FPS with the same amount of latency when playing through OBS. However, if you're a competitive or sensitive gamer, the fact that this HDMI dongle doesn't have a lag 3 pass-through to another monitor may just not meet your needs, in which case you'll have to use the splitter method. In any case, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, homies, and I'll catch yous next time. Keep making things.